For 2 years, my wife was Clara, and for all of that time, I was completely in love with her. The problem was, she seemed to despise me. If you're wondering just how much, let me offer an example. Following a serious car accident that left me with multiple broken bones, I spent 6 long months confined to a hospital bed. Clara is an orthopedic doctor in that very same hospital, yet she did not visit me even once during that entire time. It wasn't just her. Nobody seemed to like me. The prevailing rumor was that I was a wicked person who had driven away a good man named Marcus. In the immediate aftermath of my accident, when I had lost all mobility, people I knew actually congratulated her. "Clara, you can finally get a break," they'd say, as if my incapacitation was a gift. When I was finally on the verge of being discharged, her friends fretted openly. "Leo's getting out," they worried. "He's going to go back to troubling Clara again." And they were right, in a way. The very first thing I did upon leaving the hospital was seek out Clara, but it wasn't to cling to her or cause any trouble. Instead, I quietly handed her a document. "Clara," I said, my voice steady, "this is what you've always wanted." She looked at the folder, confused. "What is it?" A small, weary smile touched my lips. "Open it. You'll understand." Inside were the divorce papers she had never asked for, but which her every action had screamed for. "I don't want the house or the car, Clara. I wish you all the success in the world. Let's just agree not to cross paths again." After handing them to her, I stepped back, melting into the bustling hospital crowd, leaving our shared past behind me. "Nurse, what's the situation with the man in the next bed over?" a voice had asked. "Why hasn't a single person come to visit him?" Another voice replied dismissively. "Maybe he's done too many bad things in his life, and now everyone is avoiding him." Even in the depths of my coma, I could hear the hushed conversations swirling around me. Trapped in that dark, silent world, I fought with every ounce of my being to wake up, but my body wouldn't respond. It felt like an eternity of trying and failing, until one day, the sharp clang of a cup falling to the floor near my bed sent a jolt through my system, startling me back to consciousness. "Oh my goodness, sir, you're awake!" a woman exclaimed. I stared blankly at the sterile white ceiling tiles above me, unable to move a muscle. "Sir, I am so sorry," she continued, her voice trembling slightly. "I dropped the cup, and the noise must have shocked you." No, I thought. I should be thanking her. That sudden shock was the very thing that pulled me from the darkness that had held me captive. No one could ever understand the sheer terror and suffocating fear I had felt while I was trapped in that coma. News of my awakening spread quickly through the hospital staff. Doctors soon arrived to run a series of tests, their faces expressing relief as they confirmed I was truly conscious. But as I scanned the sea of white coats, the one face I was searching for was absent. I hadn't heard Clara's voice once while I was unconscious, and now that I was awake, she was nowhere to be seen. "Where is Clara?" I finally asked, my voice raspy. The doctors exchanged uneasy glances. "Clara? Oh, she's in the middle of a surgery right now. She can't get away." How am I asked, changing the subject. "When the accident happened, you landed on the back of your head, which caused several brain contusions and put you into the coma," one of them explained. "You also have a broken right hand, a severely fractured left thigh, and a number of other broken bones and soft tissue injuries. All told, the injuries were very serious. Until yesterday, you had been unconscious for 40 days. Luckily, you were brought to the hospital in time. The brain contusions are slowly being absorbed, and the fractures have been surgically repaired and set in casts. You're gradually improving." As dinner time arrived, the kind lady who was visiting the man in the bed next to mine turned to me while feeding her husband. "Sir," she asked gently, "who is this Clara you keep mentioning? Is she someone important to you?" "She's my wife," I managed to say. What kind of surgery could possibly take 8 hours anyway? Your husband wakes up from a coma, and you can't even spare a moment for a glance? I shook my head, a bitter taste in my mouth. Just an acquaintance, really. I see, she said, though her expression was sympathetic. And your family? Only a paid caregiver had been attending to me, helping with my daily washes and managing my catheter while I was comatose. I was probably the most pathetic case in the entire hospital. I fabricated an excuse. They live in another city, and their health isn't the best. It's too difficult for them to come over. The truth was more complicated. My parents had divorced when I was in middle school, after my father cheated. I was sent to live with him, and my mother, deeply hurt, moved overseas. My father is a businessman, constantly flying from one city to another. Aside from depositing an allowance into my bank account, he has no time for me. To top it off, he and his new wife had a son, my half-brother, about 3 years ago. As for Clara, I had pursued her relentlessly. Well, perhaps pursued isn't the right word. That implies she eventually liked me back. After we got married, she was as cold as ice, never showing me even a fraction of the warmth and gentleness she had always shown toward Marcus. If he hadn't left the country, she probably would have married him instead. "What the? Why is the drip running backward?" the caregiver suddenly cried out while she was preparing my meal. I turned my head and saw that the IV needle in my hand had dislodged. A long section of the clear tubing was now filled with my own dark blood. The caregiver immediately pressed the nurse call button. The nurse who responded was Sarah, a former high school classmate of mine. The annoyance in her eyes was unmistakable, written plainly across her face. She roughly tore the medical tape from the back of my hand and yanked the needle out without a word of apology. Back in high school, there weren't many in our class who hadn't privately called me a fox, a vicious jerk. She quickly changed the tubing and left the room. Both the caregiver and the lady from the next bed were appalled. "Maybe she's just having a bad day," the caregiver commented as she brought my meal over to feed me. "No," the other woman chimed in. "I've noticed her attitude. It's only bad toward you. She's perfectly pleasant when she changes my husband's medication, so—" I didn't say much, simply asking the caregiver, "Could you buy me one of those small bedside tables? I'll eat by myself." My right hand was still encased in a plaster cast, but my left hand was free. Normally, if Sarah had treated me like that, I wouldn't have let it slide. I would have confronted her then and there. But in my current state, I had neither the energy nor the fight left in me. I was struggling to eat when Clara finally walked in. Using my left hand was still awkward and clumsy, and my spoon froze mid-air the moment she entered the room. I must have looked pitifully helpless in that moment. She gave me a cursory glance before looking over at the older gentleman in the other bed. "What's going on?" she asked his wife. Oh, she was here to see him. I lowered my head and began mechanically shoveling food into my mouth, feeling completely numb. "Doctor, you're here," the lady exclaimed. "My husband was just saying that his elbow suddenly hurts terribly." Clara walked over and made a slight adjustment to the gentleman's cast. "Is that better now?" "Much better," he sighed in relief. "It's not as painful anymore." "I was wondering," the lady said. "Did they change doctors? Wasn't it Dr. Miller before?" "He had a family matter to attend to," Clara explained calmly. "I'm just covering for him for a couple of days." "Oh, I see. You look so young to be working at a prestigious place like the Third Hospital. That's very impressive. Do you have a boyfriend?" Clara skillfully sidestepped the personal question. The cast was a bit too tight, which was pressing on the nerve in his elbow and causing the pain. "If it happens again, please call a doctor promptly." After addressing the gentleman's issue, she seemed to linger for a moment. I kept my head down, mechanically spooning porridge into my mouth. A pair of pristine white shoes appeared at my bedside. Just then, a nurse ran into the room. "Clara, emergency case in the ER!" In the blink of an eye, the white shoes were gone. I looked out the window into the encroaching darkness and sniffled, a wave of loneliness washing over me. Since that day, Clara didn't come to see me again. Dr. Miller returned from his family matter, so she no longer had a reason to cover his patients, and all the beds in my ward were his. I heard through the grapevine that a massive chain reaction car accident had happened that night, injuring a lot of people. I also heard that Clara had gone to another province for a training seminar. Then, shortly after she returned, a huge fire broke out in the city, and the hospital was packed with victims. Later on, I heard she was sent abroad for further studies. Essentially, she was perpetually busy. The occupants of the bed next to me changed over and over. As soon as I was able to get up, I threw every ounce of my energy into rehabilitation. I was determined to stand on my own 2 feet again, to walk like a normal person. No matter how grueling the physical therapy was, I persevered, just like the other patients around me. Somewhere along the way, I became the butt of the joke among my old group of friends. I was the guy stuck in bed from an accident, unable to care for himself, needing help with even the most basic functions. We had all been medical students together at Z University. But during my internship year, I injured my fingers and could no longer pursue a career as a surgeon, forcing me to give up on that dream. Some of my former classmates had ended up with jobs at the 3rd hospital. None of them pitied me. They saw my misfortune as karma. Everyone seemed to believe the story that I had forced Marcus out years ago, making him move abroad in defeat. "You're totally healed! Awesome!" the physical therapist said with a grin 4 months later, when I could finally walk normally without any assistance. "Thanks for staying with me through all of this," I said, genuinely grateful. "It was your own strong will," he replied. "Honestly, your leg was crushed pretty badly. But during this whole time, you didn't complain once." I just smiled without saying anything. I was discharged from the hospital. After handling all the necessary paperwork, I caught a cab and left that place behind. It had been nearly half a year since I had been back to the apartment. I hesitated for a moment, my hand hovering over the fingerprint lock on the door. When I finally opened it, the smell of dust greeted me. Just as I suspected, Clara rarely came back here either. I tidied up the sofa a bit and sat down to eat the lean pork porridge I had bought downstairs. I had only managed a couple of bites when my phone buzzed with notifications. I fell silent as I read the messages popping up in a group chat I was still in. "Leo got discharged." "So fast? Wasn't he seriously hurt?" "He's probably going after Clara again." She must owe him something from a past life to be stuck with him like this. Quit it! He can see this. He might take revenge. The messages vanished as quickly as they had appeared. Someone had realized their mistake and deleted them. I turned off my phone and quietly finished my porridge. Clara didn't come home that night. When daylight finally broke, I rubbed my stiff hands over my tired eyes, paused for a moment, then got up and dressed. I gathered my few belongings from the coffee table and headed for the door. Right before I shut it, I took one last look at the 3-bedroom apartment I had so carefully designed. With a final, decisive click, the door closed. Outside the orthopedic department's corridor, I saw her. She and a group of doctors in white coats were just emerging from a conference room after their morning meeting. She was flipping through a file and stopped when she saw me. The doctor next to her glanced between us, then tactfully walked away, giving us space. I don't know why, but I managed to muster a smile as I walked towards her. Maybe I was just thankful that I had recovered and wasn't permanently disabled. Or maybe, after all this time, I had finally made peace with everything. Clara had flawless skin. Even with tired-looking eyes, her perfect face couldn't be hidden. "Sorry," she explained, her voice soft. I had 3 surgeries back-to-back yesterday. By the time I finished, you had already been discharged. I just nodded and handed her the folder I was carrying. "What's this?" she asked, her brow furrowing in confusion. I shrugged, a genuine smile of relief spreading across my face. "Open it. It's what you've always wanted, Clara. I don't need the house or the car. Here's to your future success. Our paths won't cross again." After handing over the divorce agreement, I turned and faded back into the crowd. At the airport, I pulled out my phone and deliberately deleted her contact from my favorites list. Then, I exited our old class group chat. My destination was a small, quiet town where my cousin lived. When I landed that night, I went straight to his house. He was in the middle of raising a young child. "Dad, Uncle's here," his little daughter, Mia, announced. My cousin came out from the kitchen, wiping his hands on an apron and eyeing my suitcase. "Trouble in paradise?" "We're over," I said simply. "But you loved her so much." I gave a bitter smile. Love is a two-way street. One-sided effort is just self-serving, and sometimes it's just pressure. "You finally get it, Leo," he said, shaking his head. "She's not worth it." I couldn't sleep that night. I sat by the window, gazing down at the quiet road below. The sound of footsteps pulled me from my thoughts. "Why are you still up?" my cousin asked. "Can't sleep, I'll be okay." He patted my shoulder sympathetically. "Man, you've had some tough breaks. You dreamed of being a surgeon, but then you injured your finger. You found someone you loved, and she treated you like ice." Staring at the solitary streetlights outside, I zoned out. If she hated me so much, why did she agree to marry me in the first place? I just don't get it. I never forced her into it. "Just let it go," my cousin advised. "Forget her and focus on living a better life." "Yeah," I said, my resolve hardening. "I've decided to move on. I'm going to settle down here and open a pharmacy." "That sounds like a good plan. Need a partner? I'll invest." We both chuckled, a small moment of levity in the darkness. 6 months later, our pharmacy was up and running. My cousin and I took turns manning the store. The pace of life in this small town was slow and peaceful. Over time, the painful memories began to fade. One afternoon, Mia handed me my phone. "Uncle, you have a call." "Thanks, sweetheart." "I'm getting married," the voice on the other end exclaimed. "Will you come to my wedding?" It was Alex, my only real friend from college. "Where's the wedding?" "It has to be in Z City, of course. You know I hardly have any friends. If you don't come, it'll feel incomplete." "All right," I sighed. "Send me the hotel address." A whole year had gone by. I had moved past some things, and other things had moved past me. At the banquet hall, Alex greeted me with a warm, enthusiastic hug. "I'm so glad you made it." "Of course, man. You're getting hitched." "I heard about you and Clara," he said, his voice lowering. "And I know you've left Z City." "Hey, today is your day. Let's not talk about me," I deflected. "Go get ready. The ceremony is about to start." After Alex left, I grabbed a glass of red wine, swirled it, and took a small, contemplative sip. "Is everyone here?" a voice drifted from the entrance. "I don't usually realize it, but I've got some pull. Even the top doctors from the hospital showed up. Good thing you picked a weekend. Otherwise, we might not have been able to get everyone here." "Look, even the incredibly busy Clara made it." The voices floated in, and suddenly the wine in my glass tasted a little tart. "I didn't know Marcus had transferred to the 3rd hospital. Quite a few of their people are here today." I glanced over toward the entrance, and my eyes locked with Clara's for a fleeting moment. Her expression was unreadable. Suddenly, everyone seemed to notice my presence. A wave of surprised stares was directed my way. When I saw who was standing next to her, handing over the gift money, I froze for a second, even though I had been mentally preparing myself for this. Marcus was back. but the feeling lasted only for a second. I turned my attention to the beautiful wisteria blooming outside the window. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and just like that, all my bottled-up feelings seemed to fade away with it. The rumor since college had always been that they were made for each other. Now, from an outsider's perspective, it looked like they had finally found their happiness together. The wedding reception got underway, and everyone took their seats. The doctors and staff from the third hospital were all gathered at one table. "You know, today's groom is a doctor from there," someone at a nearby table gossiped. "Doctors are quite the catch these days. See that table over there? It's filled with his co-workers. All you single ladies better hurry up and get those phone numbers." "It's a shame, though," another voice added. "That one really good-looking doctor is probably already spoken for. She's sitting by that guy who is likely her boyfriend." The music began to play, and the wedding ceremony commenced. After the ceremony and the meal, people started to mingle and drift apart. I heard footsteps approaching my table. "You've been gone for a year," a soft voice said. "I bet you weren't planning on coming back if it weren't for Alex's wedding." To my surprise, it was Clara, holding a glass of wine. She looked stunning in a pale pink gown. I never expected her to come over and say hello. We exchanged a brief, awkward glance. "Come back?" I asked, my voice flat. "I don't have a home here anymore." "No home?" I caught Marcus glancing over at us with a look of readable concern. I ignored him and grabbed a small dessert from the table. "Sorry, it seems like we don't have much to chat about." I left the dessert table and checked the time, planning to say a quick goodbye to Alex and then head out. "Leaving already?" Alex asked, pulling me aside. "We barely talked." He glanced over at Clara and Marcus. "Are you leaving because of them? Sorry, I didn't mention that people from the third hospital might show up." "No worries," I reassured him. "I'm over it. They don't affect me anymore." I left the hotel and hailed a cab to the airport. "Leo, where are you headed?" a voice called out just as I was about to get in. Someone grabbed my arm. I turned around, startled. It was Clara. Silence hung heavy in the air between us. "Don't go," she said finally. "Why? I need to catch a flight." "Getting in or not?" the cab driver grumbled from the front seat. Clara leaned in and spoke to the driver, shutting the door firmly. "Sorry, we're not leaving anymore." "Not going? Why'd you call a cab and waste my time?" the driver muttered as he sped off. I saw Marcus a little ways off, looking puzzled. I turned back to Clara, my patience wearing thin. "What is this about?" She tightened her grip on my arm. "What about you? We're still legally married. Where do you think you're going all alone? I never signed the divorce papers." My expression hardened. "You're hurting me." She realized her grip was too tight and let go. The hotel entrance wasn't the right place for this conversation. She drove us to the seaside. I rolled down the window and stared out at the vast, dark sea, the salty air clinging to everything. "Why didn't you sign?" I asked, breaking the silence. "Isn't this what you wanted?" I saw her hands grip the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. "What I want? Ha! Go on, just say it." She suddenly reached over and held my hand, her grip surprisingly tight. "Not coming home tonight?" my cousin's voice asked through the phone. "What happened? Did you run into Clara?" I took a deep breath and glanced at the woman beside me, now pouring me a glass of water back in our old apartment. "I guess you did, and now you're not coming back because of her. Are you getting back together with her? Are you crazy?" "Clara, when did you get here?" my cousin asked, his voice now tinged with surprise. "It's Clara." She gestured for the phone. "Here, let me talk." I could hear my cousin's voice getting louder in the background as Clara stepped out onto the balcony with the call. I looked around the room, remembering the dusty scent from the day I had left. It was now clean and bright. 10 minutes later, Clara returned and handed the phone back to me. "Aren't you going to drink the tea? You used to love brewing this." I frowned slightly. "I need to get some rest. We need to head to the Civil Affairs office early tomorrow. I have a store to manage, and my cousin can't handle it all alone. Which room should I take?" "The agreement was drafted over a year ago," I stated flatly. "I don't want this place. You can sit here. I'm the guest now." At the beach, she had lit a cigarette. When did she start smoking? "If you're leaving," I had said, "then let's go get the divorce certificate." She had stiffened at my words. Her phone, lying on the coffee table, lit up with a notification from a chat group. "Did everyone see Leo at Alex's wedding today?" "Couldn't miss him. He always stands out." "Doctors are usually so busy, it's hard to believe they have this much free time sometimes." "Why is he back this time? Is he after Clara again?" When Clara put her phone down, the chat group was gone from her screen. "A new BBQ joint opened downstairs," she said, changing the subject. "It's supposed to be pretty good. Want to get a late-night snack?" I got up. "I'll crash in the study. Let's rest up and make sure we're in line early tomorrow." The study looked exactly the same as I had left it, but lying there, it no longer felt like home. "The BBQ is here. Do you want some?" she asked from the doorway. I didn't answer, pretending to be asleep. After a short pause, I heard her footsteps retreat. From the study window, I could see a light on in the living room. The living room lights didn't go out until the early hours of the morning. I was up at dawn. The master bedroom was still quiet as I sat in the living room waiting. The sun climbed higher and higher, but there was still no sound from her room. I checked the time and finally knocked on her door. No answer. I frowned. And as I glanced towards the entrance, I noticed her slippers were placed neatly there. A bad feeling crept over me. I immediately pushed open her bedroom door, but the room was empty. I went to the dining table and found a note. "There was an emergency at the hospital. I went in. There's breakfast for you in the thermos. Don't forget to eat." I put the note down. I glanced at the thermos next to it and opened it. Inside were savory meat buns on the top layer and a warm millet and red date porridge on the bottom. I wasn't in the mood for breakfast. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail every time. I had no choice but to go to the hospital myself. When I got there, the nurses told me she was in the operating room. All I could do was wait for her in her office. A little while later, her friend Nancy walked in. By the looks of it, she had just finished a night shift. We locked eyes for a moment, and I looked away, irritated. She used to be the most vocal supporter of Clara and Marcus. This time, amazingly, she didn't make a single snarky remark. "Clara won't be out of the operating room for a while," she said. "If you're bored, you can surf the internet on her computer." She also opened a drawer, pulled out a bag of snacks, and put it on the table. "These are from Clara. For you." She then left the room with her phone. I paused, a bit taken aback. The bag was full of the chips I used to love, but I had no appetite for them. I had let go of more than just painful memories over the past year. I had let go of a lot of unhealthy habits, too. I waited until 4 p.m. Clara finally emerged from surgery, looking utterly exhausted. When she came back to her office and saw me, she seemed a bit surprised. I waved the file folder in my hand, my face impassive. "I've been waiting for you. There's only an hour left before they close, so let's hurry." "All right," she nodded wearily. "Let me just rinse off and change my clothes first." She disappeared into the small bathroom in her office. 10 minutes passed, and I was waiting anxiously outside. She came out, drying her hair with a towel, and pointed to a boxed meal a nurse had brought in earlier. "Can you give me a moment to eat something? I haven't eaten all day." "Time is running out," I said, my patience thin. She gave a bitter smile. "I'll be quick, just 5 minutes." I said nothing more. She took a few quick bites, and just as we were about to leave, a nurse rushed over. "Clara, something's wrong. The patient in bed 3 is having consciousness issues and is struggling to breathe." "I'll go check it out," she said, and was gone again. Because a life was at stake, I had no reason to stop her, but I was left feeling restless and frustrated. She returned at 6 p.m., a full hour after the civil registry's office had closed for the day. She glanced at the time as I gave her a questioning look. "Sorry," she said, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "The patient had a fat embolism and needed immediate rescue." I didn't know what to say. I was furious, but I also knew that the patient's life was more important. "Sort out your work," I said curtly. "I don't want any more delays tomorrow. I'll find a hotel for tonight." "Leo," she started to say, but just then, a doctor walked over. Seeing him, I paused. It was Dr. Miller. He looked at my leg, smiled, and said, "Glad to see there are no lasting after effects. I haven't seen you at the hospital in a year. I even asked Clara why you stopped coming." Dr. Miller was a generation older than Clara's group and was something of a mentor to them. I glanced at Clara, wondering if Dr. Miller knew that we were already over. "You're recovering well," he continued. "I'm relieved. Tonight I'm treating the whole department to dinner. Clara, you should bring your boyfriend." "Sorry, I have other plans tonight," I interjected quickly. "You guys go ahead." Dr. Miller's face turned a bit stern. "What, you're not going to give me face? I owe him my life. He was a lifesaver for me back then." Refusing seemed incredibly rude. "All right," I conceded. "I'll come." From the conversation, I gathered that Dr. Miller had been promoted to department head, and this was a celebration dinner. When everyone gathered at the restaurant, they seemed a bit surprised to see me, but this time Clara seemed to have my back, standing close to me throughout the initial greetings. I sat in Clara's car on the way there, staring silently out the window. She gently reached over and held my hand. Her hand was warm. Mine was cold. "Still mad?" she asked softly. I turned back to face her. I tried to pull my hand away, but she gripped it tighter. After a moment, she let go on her own. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I retracted my hand, placing it back on my lap. "You didn't explain to them that we're not together anymore." "I only mentioned to Nancy that you gave me divorce papers, and that was after I'd had too much to drink," she admitted. "As for everyone else, I just said you were traveling." That meant that aside from some of our old classmates, no one knew we had been separated for a year and were only meeting now to finalize the divorce. "There's a Coke in the glove box," she offered. I didn't really feel like drinking it. "Why don't you want it? Your tastes have changed." I didn't respond, just started scrolling aimlessly on my phone. At the restaurant, everyone took their seats and ordered. Some had even brought their families. I couldn't seem to blend into the cheerful atmosphere and simply ate in silence. Clara put food on my plate twice. I let it sit there, untouched. She had picked things I used to like, but I no longer liked the things she thought I did. Even my taste in snacks had changed. How could she think I'd still like the same old dishes? Dr. Miller called me out from across the table. "Leo, why aren't you talking? You're just eating. I haven't seen you in a year, and you've changed. You used to be so chatty." Back then, when I attended these gatherings with Clara, I was full of enthusiasm and hope for our marriage. I would sit next to her, acting confident and mingling with her colleagues. I tried to engage in every conversation. I put down my chopsticks and forced a smile. "Sorry, I just got caught up in the food." Dr. Miller shook his head knowingly. "No, I can tell you two had a fight. Leo is being impatient with Clara. That's how it is at home after a disagreement." He turned to me. "Leo, is it because Clara didn't join you on a trip or something? You should blame me. I've been keeping her so busy with work that she couldn't spend more time with you. I'll make sure she has more time off." Being called out like that was awkward. Even though we were in the process of divorcing, I didn't want to cause a scene. No need, Dr. Miller. That's her job. Are you worried she was fooling around while you were away? He pressed. I can vouch for her. She has always kept her distance from everyone. I've never seen her talk much to any guy in private. I frowned. Marcus was back now. She never talked to any guys. How was that possible? Dr. Miller even added, I wouldn't lie in front of everyone here. Midway through the dinner, I got up to go to the bathroom. I splashed some cold water on my face, trying to clear my head. As I was leaving, I ran into Dr. Miller's wife at the door. She smiled warmly at me. Mrs. Miller, I nodded. Leo, long time no see. You've lost some weight. She patted my shoulder gently. Can you tell me what's really going on with Clara? The young man who used to look at her with such bright eyes seems to have lost that spark. I knew she was concerned about our relationship. Mrs. Miller, we just don't have feelings for each other anymore. She opened her mouth in surprise, then thought for a moment. I don't know the details of what happened between you two, but I can tell you that she really, truly cares about you. When you got into that car accident, she was at the hospital every single night she wasn't traveling for work. Especially when you were in the ICU, she would just sleep in the chair by your bedside. She paused, letting the words sink in. When you had the accident and were brought to the hospital, she was out of town attending a surgery exchange conference with the dean. When she heard what happened, she rushed out of the conference room to come back. Because of that, she was severely reprimanded in a hospital-wide meeting. I was completely taken aback. She had stayed with me while I was unconscious? Mrs. Miller sighed. I don't understand it. She clearly cares about you so much, yet she never visited you during your waking hours. Many times when my husband was on night duty and I passed by your ward, I'd see her in there, just watching you. She patted me on the shoulder again. Don't rush into any big decisions. Maybe there's a misunderstanding between you two that you haven't resolved yet. I took a call and left the bathroom, my mind reeling. Clara was standing at the door, seemingly waiting for me. Are you feeling unwell? I can let them know and we can leave early. I glanced inside the private room. The gathering seemed to be wrapping up soon. No, I'm fine. Let's head out together when it's over. Half an hour later, the dinner ended. At the hotel entrance, everyone said their goodbyes and drove off one by one. Along the way, I looked at a hotel by the side of the road. Drop me off here. I'm staying at this hotel tonight. I'll see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 8 a.m. Tomorrow is the weekend, she said quietly. The bureau isn't open. I checked my phone and realized it was indeed Saturday. I can be so absent-minded sometimes. Head back home with me, she urged. I snapped. Clara, can you please show some respect? Is it fun messing with me like this all day? She paused, then looked up at me, her eyes filled with an emotion I couldn't quite place. If anyone should be staying at a hotel, it's you. The house, which you designed so meticulously down to the last detail, is yours. I'll drop you off first. That night, true to her word, she left me at the garage and drove away. But the next morning, when I went downstairs for breakfast, I saw her Volvo parked just outside the building. I looked away and headed back upstairs. She got out of the car. My dad called, she said, catching up to me. It's his birthday today, and he wants us to come over for dinner. There's no need for me to go. Dad has had 2 heart attacks, she pleaded. He really wants to see you. I clutched my carton of soy milk tightly and quickened my pace upstairs. I'll wait for you downstairs, she called after me. Upstairs, my phone rang again. I hung up. It buzzed twice more. A text from my father, Richard, appeared. Leo, please come home for dinner, okay? I've asked the maid to make all your favorite dishes. I just found out I have pulmonary congestion. With all my illnesses, I might not have many years left. I know I've let you and your mother down, and you have every right to resent me. But Dad really cares about you and wants to see if Clara is treating you well." I turned off my phone and tossed it aside. Once we arrived at his home, as I opened the trunk, Clara reached for the canister of tea I was holding. My half-brother Daniel, who was playing in the yard, glanced at us and then ran inside. "Dad, Big Bro is here!" Before going in, I looked at Clara's back, a flicker of a memory puzzling me for a moment. In an old photo album I made, there's a picture of me with my parents. I once caught her clutching that album, her gaze fixed on my dad's image with a look of strange intensity, almost like dislike. I had tried to ask her indirectly if she knew my dad, but she always used her busyness as an excuse and never talked about it. I regained my senses and followed her inside. "Big Bro's here!" My dad glanced at the door, a bit of excitement in his eyes. "Helen, come out, Leo's here!" A woman in an apron rushed out from the kitchen, my stepmom in name. "Coming home and buying stuff, what for? Give them to me. You guys sit in the living room. There are just 2 more dishes to go, and then we can eat." Silence filled the living room. Ever since he had ruined our family with his affair, I hadn't called him Dad. Beside him was an IV stand, something I hadn't expected. A stark reveal of his declining health. Just as I sat down, I felt an urge to step outside for a walk. Clara came over, sat down next to me, and held my hand. "Your last surgery was a success. How did it relapse?" My stepmom, Helen, came over with a fruit plate and tea. "Now that you're all here, please persuade him. At his age, there's no need to work so hard. During his last attack, it was barely a minute before he collapsed. I was so scared I couldn't even dial 120. It's not that severe. Anyway, go check on the stove." He dismissed her. "Don't listen to your aunt. She exaggerates. The doctor said with proper rest, it's fine." I stood up. "I'll take a walk outside." He then asked Daniel, who was playing nearby, "Daniel, go outside with your brother." Daniel left his Legos and eagerly followed me out. From the look in his eyes, I could tell he was unfamiliar with me, yet he wanted to be close. I mused that fate had been kind to Richard. Despite being a cheater, he had found someone who understood him, and this woman had even given him a sweet child. Helen wasn't the woman he had cheated with. They only got together 3 years after the other woman left him for someone younger and richer. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. He fiddled with his fingers. "Want to see my fish by the stone pond?" "Sure, let's see." "Feeding them too much might make them sick," I advised. "What? But they've eaten everything up." "When they see food, they won't say no. You're their owner, so you need to control how much they eat." "How much should each one get?" "They're still small, so 3 to 5 pellets per fish should be enough." "Got it! Hey, my sister's here!" I turned around, and Clara had come over. "Sister, my brother is teaching me how to feed the goldfish. It turns out I was overfeeding them, which could actually kill them." Clara ruffled his hair affectionately. "Dinner's ready. Let's go eat." Midway through dinner, something happened. My dad suddenly clutched his chest in pain. "Daniel, hurry to the living room and grab your dad's heart medication," my aunt cried, holding him and panicking. Daniel brought the medicine, and I took one of the pills, placing it in his mouth. The meal was not going to be finished. We carried him to the bedroom and laid him flat. The family doctor arrived soon after. By the time everything had settled down, it was nearly dark. I walked out of the bedroom, watching the swaying trees outside, and felt a jacket being placed over my shoulders. "Leo, it's drafty out here. Don't catch a cold," Clara said softly. The doctor came out of the room. "How is he? Is he still in any danger?" Helen asked anxiously. "Things don't look good. You should all stay over tonight. That way, if anything happens, you'll be here to help." My aunt agreed immediately. "Yes, you should stay. I panic and can't decide what to do when things go wrong. Having you young folks here gives me peace of mind." She looked at me. Leo, your room has always been kept for you. I've only been cleaning in there once a week. I haven't moved a single thing. I hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Helen didn't know about me and Clara, so she hadn't prepared a separate room for her. I didn't want to drag them into our business, so we would just have to manage for one night. In the shower, I slipped on the wet floor and fell hard. Clara heard the loud thud and rushed in. I was completely soaked and totally uncovered. "Did you slip?" she asked, her voice calm. I seemed to have twisted my ankle. It hurt like hell, but I stayed on the ground, trying to cover myself up. "It's fine, just go out," I muttered, embarrassed. Clara lowered her gaze, grabbed a large towel from the rack, wrapped it around me, and stubbornly helped me to my feet. "You've twisted your ankle. I'll help you out." Once I was safely on the bed, I pulled the covers over myself instantly. Clara left the room. "Aunt, do we have any of that medicinal wine?" I heard her ask. "Yes. Did Leo hurt himself? I heard his voice earlier." Clara quickly returned with a bottle of red medicinal wine and poured some into her palm. After her shower, I pretended to be asleep. Soon, the other side of the bed dipped down as she got in. Faking sleep, I sensed her getting closer. She grew bolder, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. I tried to play it cool, to ignore it, but I couldn't. I had to open my eyes, looking straight at her in the dim light. She froze for a moment, then leaned down and kissed me deeply. Her kiss was gentle and tender, and for a moment, it made me get lost in it. It wasn't until I fully realized what I was doing that I pushed her away, gasping for air. I stared at the ceiling, a small, humorless chuckle escaping my lips. But tears began to slide from the corners of my eyes. What was she doing? After 2 years of a marriage where she hated me, now, with divorce pending, she was showing me all this warmth. She had even massaged my twisted foot so softly. And, after everything, she kisses me so sweetly, pulling me right back in. Did she want me to chase her for 2 more years? Noticing my tears, she looked a little panicked and gently wiped them away. "I'm sorry, it's my fault for making you cry," she whispered. "Yell at me, hit me if you have to, just please don't cry, okay?" I tilted my head, forcing the tears back. "Why, Clara, why? Mrs. Miller mentioned that during my coma you watched over me. Is that true?" After a long moment of silence, she nodded. I sat up, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and confusion. "Why didn't you want me to know? Why did you only visit at night? Did you want me to misunderstand you? Are you ashamed of me in the daylight?" She pulled me into her arms, holding me tight. "I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I hurt you when you are innocent. You matter the most to me." "Believe it? Just from words?" I pushed her away. "For 2 years, you treated me as coldly as ice. I couldn't warm you up. It felt like I was the person you hated most in the world. How can I possibly believe you now?" "I failed to recognize my own feelings in time," she said, her voice filled with regret. "And it caused you so much unnecessary pain." I couldn't listen anymore. I turned away from her. After a moment, she took a pillow and got off the bed. "You stay here and calm down. I'll sleep on the couch." In the morning, I came downstairs and paused, seeing a familiar figure sitting on the couch. The woman turned and smiled at me. "Hey, you're up?" "Isabella, what brings you here?" Joanna and I hadn't seen each other in years. I once saw her as a sister. She stood up, looking much more mature. She was wearing professional business attire instead of her old, flashy clothes. The stubbornness she once had seemed to be gone, too. "I heard your dad isn't doing well, so I came to check in," she said. "I'll ask my aunt to take you up." She walked up close to me. "Won't you do it yourself?" I instinctively stepped back. Just then, Clara walked in with the doctor. Isabella turned, and her eyes made brief contact with Clara's. I excused myself and went upstairs. As I left, I saw Clara glance at Isabella as she went up the stairs, and her expression immediately darkened. Her fists clenched at her sides. I was puzzled. I had never seen Clara look like that. When she noticed my gaze on her, she quickly returned to her normal, composed self. She opened a bag and pulled out a pair of white slippers. "While I was bringing the doctor here, I passed a store and bought these soft slippers for you to try. With a twisted ankle, the softer the shoe, the better." Clara squatted down, motioning for me to sit so she could help me put them on. My aunt came over, removing the empty teacups from the table, and teased, "The young couple has such a great relationship." "Let me do it," I said, looking down and putting on the shoes myself. I recalled Clara's sharp look at Isabella earlier. I shot a glance at Clara. Did she have some issue with Isabella? Isabella spent almost an hour in my dad's room before coming down. She glanced at me, and her gaze finally stopped on Clara. "Let's chat, outside." They headed out into the garden. I looked out the window, wondering what they could possibly have to talk about. From what I remembered, they didn't seem to have much in common. But the tension between them just now was palpable. I remembered when we were in college, Isabella came to see me once and met Clara. Clara hadn't chatted much with her then, either. She just went straight to the library. Did they ever meet again after that? Daniel brought over a soccer ball and looked up at me. "Hey, buddy, want to play soccer?" I nodded. "Sure." When the ball rolled over near where they were talking, I went over to retrieve it. "I heard you haven't been good to Leo in recent years," Isabella was saying. "You're an outsider," Clara replied coldly. "You have no right to comment on our marriage." "No right? If it weren't for you showing up, he and I would have been married." "He never would have married you. Anyone could see he only ever saw you as a sister, not a lover." "He might not have loved me, but what did you give him? Coldness? Misery? If it were me, at least I wouldn't have let him suffer." "You think I wanted this?" Clara's voice was tight with suppressed emotion. "It's your fault. You pushed so hard, warning me and then pressuring my father. You left me torn, and you left him hurt. I was torn between the man I love and the father who raised me. You think my conscience would be clear with a choice like that?" Isabella was silent for a long time. When she spoke again, the chill in her voice made me shiver. "I'm sorry. If we had known you wouldn't leave him, we wouldn't have pushed so hard." "A sorry won't bring my dad back," Clara spat. The soccer ball slipped from my hands and bounced on the grass. They both turned around, stunned. "Leo, when did you get here?" Their eyes widened with panic. What are you talking about?" I felt frozen, like I was submerged in ice water. I stared at Clara. "What's this about my dad being alive? Isabella, what did you do to Clara's dad? No, what did you all do? Who else was involved? What are you hiding from me?" I had a terrible feeling that the truth would be too much to bear, but I had to know. Clara had never mentioned her father to me. Whenever I asked, she always seemed annoyed. Clara gently pressed my shoulder. "Leo, calm down first. Once you're more stable, I'll explain everything." "I want to know now. Please just tell me." Isabella finally spoke up, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Leo. It was me. I liked you for a long time, but you only ever saw me as a sister. When you started liking Clara, I was angry. I thought she wasn't good enough for you, so I offered her money to leave you. She refused the money and told me to stop playing childish games. I felt humiliated. How dare she? So I got even madder. I hired people to beat her up, hoping she would get scared and leave. But she didn't. Then I found out her dad worked in the city, so I hired more people to attack him." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I slapped Isabella hard across the face. You're a monster." Her face froze in shock. "Sorry, Leo. If it will make you feel better, hit me as many times as you want." "Hitting you would just dirty my hands," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "You're inhumane. Don't you get it? Clara never left because I liked her. I went to her. You hurt her. And then you went after her innocent father. Why didn't you just kill me first? Get out. I never want to see you again." "Hate me if you must," she said, her eyes welling with tears. "I knew Clara's coldness toward you was about her dad's situation. I felt guilty, but I didn't dare tell you. I knew you'd hate me once you found out the truth. Hopefully, now that you know everything, you can find some peace. The fault was mine, and it's me who needs to pay for it. Please, don't hurt each other anymore. Be happy together." "Wait," I said, a cold dread washing over me. "Who else was involved? You mentioned we and others." "There was no one else. It was only me. You must have heard wrong." "I doubt it. I think Clara knows too." Isabella looked back at me, then glanced at Clara, seeking help. "It was only me, Leo. Stop overthinking." Clara nodded in agreement. I wish she were telling the truth, that it was only Isabella. But I knew what I had heard. "Was it my dad?" I asked, the words feeling like poison in my mouth. "Both of you planned it. You hurt Clara's dad, thinking she would then hate me." My dad had always liked Isabella. He had often hinted at a future for us together, saying he'd be happy leaving me in her care. Silence was my answer. The truth was stark and brutal. I couldn't process it. Maybe I would never be able to come to terms with it. "It's over now, Leo," Clara said softly, cupping my face in her hands and pressing her forehead against mine. "Let's not dwell on it. Let's just cherish what we have now." "How can I cherish the present when my own father caused your father's pain?" Today, I finally understood why she could never love me back. I had speculated on so many reasons, but never this horrid truth. "It's not that," Clara reassured me. "My dad died from cancer, not from the beating. That was just surface wounds." I couldn't listen. "Stop covering for them." I went to my father's bedside. He already knew. "You figured it out," he said, his voice weak. "I had hoped you wouldn't." Now I knew why his health had kept declining. It was karma. "Your mom still worries about you," he added weakly. "Leo, don't talk about your dad like that," Helen pleaded. "He's always regretted it. He just wanted you to be with someone familiar, to prevent you from getting hurt." I laughed, a cold, empty sound. "Marrying someone I don't love won't hurt me. You loving me meant hurting the one I love. Stop trying to earn pity with your calls. If you have any conscience left, never contact Clara again. Your dad has been gone for a while, but here you are, using the priciest medicine, lying on $1 million mattress, and still bossing around Clara. She's a person, you know, and imagining how her dad was treated by you, it just hurts her every time she has to face you." "Sorry, Leo," Isabella said from the doorway. "Your dad messed up. I can't ask you or Clara for forgiveness, but my only wish now is that you both can live unaffected, that you can live your lives well. From start to finish, you did nothing wrong. It was me who loved you the wrong way. Let all the consequences fall on me." There was no turning back the clock. Once happiness is shattered, it can't be pieced back together. I laughed, but my tears were bitter. "You want Clara and me to live well? How can you be so cruel? You can't even let her father rest in peace." I ran out of that house, feeling like a wandering ghost, aimlessly drifting through the streets. I wanted to stand up straight and breathe some fresh air, but it felt like I was being pulled down by some invisible hand. After Clara's dad passed away, she came back to school from handling the funeral, and she was always so down. I didn't know much then, just that her dad was gone. I tried to spend more time with her, waiting downstairs at her dorm. Her friend Nancy had scolded me then. "Leo, just stay away from Clara. Let her be." "You knew, didn't you?" Clara's dad was in such a bad state when he passed, still covered in bruises. "Pour it up. Want more?" "You're already drunk." "Not drunk. Fill it up." Drowning myself was the only way to stop thinking. I didn't know how else to numb myself. "Welcome. What can I get for you?" a bartender asked. "I'm looking for someone." "You're not drinking? Let's go back." Through my drunken haze, I saw a figure that looked so much like Clara. "Clara, why are you here? Please don't show up anymore. I can't face you." I pulled at her arm, trying to roll up her sleeve. "How could they hit you like this? Is it still sore? Is that why you took all those days off, to heal? You're my favorite person, and the thought of you getting hit hurts me more than if it had happened to me. I'm sorry, Clara. I'm apologizing for my dad. Please don't hate me, okay?" "No." "Your dad is gone, but we got married, so in a way he was my dad too." "You won't forgive me. Would everything be better if you had never met me? Your dad wouldn't have died. Don't be kind to me anymore. I can't handle it." "All right," she said softly. "Let's go home." The next day I woke up with a splitting headache. Sunlight streamed through the thin curtains, hurting my eyes all over again. As I woke, the truth that had been revealed yesterday was once again crystal clear in my mind. This was mine and Clara's wedding room. I didn't know how to face her, so I decided to just get out of bed and leave. The door opened, and in came Clara, smiling. "Awake? I made you some hangover soup. You woke up just in time to have some?" She scooped a spoonful and brought it to my lips. The kinder she was, the heavier my guilt felt. I pushed her hand away. "Clara, you don't have to be this nice to me." "You're my husband. Who else should I be nice to?" I saw the divorce papers on the table and picked them up. "Let's stick to what we agreed on. We'll go to the civil affairs office on Monday and get divorced." She looked down, silent. "I'm heading out for a walk," I said. As I got up, she grabbed my hand. "So you're just leaving me?" "It's not leaving. It's that I can't face you. We wronged you. About your dad. I am so truly sorry. But beyond apologizing, I can't fix anything. Let's just stop dragging this out. Marcus would be a better fit for you, and besides, he's back now." She frowned slightly. "Is this because you saw us together at the wedding? You got it all wrong. At the wedding, I just ran into him at the entrance. We had no other interactions. You saw him standing next to me and just assumed we were together, right? Have you ever considered why I ultimately chose to marry you? You must think I did it to get back at your dad, right? What if I said it was because I love you so much that despite my guilty conscience, I still wanted to be with you? Would you believe me?" I bit my lip, unable to speak. "Leo," she continued, her voice soft but firm. "I know that after our marriage I fell short. I didn't live up to being a good wife. I was always in a turmoil of emotions, wanting to keep you close while also hating your father. Sometimes I felt like I was going to fall apart. On the day of your car accident, I was out of town. When I found out what happened, I just went numb. I rushed back immediately. Seeing you in surgery, unresponsive, it broke me. Then, when I learned the accident was because you were in a bad mental state and had run a red light, I blamed myself even more. It was my indifference that had made you doubt yourself, feel so lost. I hated myself. I thought that once you woke up, we would get a divorce. Being with me only hurts you, and I was scared to give you any hope. I knew you would stand up again because deep down you are so strong. But when you brought me those divorce papers, knowing that this was me pushing you away, I felt my heart break. I realized then that no amount of resentment was worth more than having you by my side. I knew I couldn't sign those papers because I couldn't lose you, but by then, your heart had already died. After you left, I searched everywhere for you, eventually finding you in that small southern town. You had opened a pharmacy and seemed to be doing better each day. I had hurt you so much, I didn't have the courage to disturb your peace. When I heard Alex was getting married, I was so excited because I predicted you would come back for it. That way we would finally get to meet. At the wedding, seeing you there made me so happy inside, even though I tried to stay calm on the outside. But I still didn't know how to approach you, how to naturally start a conversation. When I saw you about to leave again, I panicked. I rushed out and grabbed your hand. This time I knew I couldn't let you go. Clara held my hand tighter, and I could feel she was desperately trying to hold on to me. But your dad's death, that's always going to be there. A burden you'll never be able to forget. My dad passed away from brain cancer, she said firmly. Sure, he got seriously injured that one time, but it was all superficial wounds. Trust me on that. Your father's actions have always bothered me. So, if you hate him so much, why did you answer his calls and go back with me to see him? He really doesn't deserve it. Because deep down, we both love you so much, she explained. Back then, he was just worried that I couldn't give you the life he thought you deserved. He hoped you would marry someone better off. Any dad would probably get upset if their son was with a med student with no family background, and they'd do whatever they could to stop it. You might act cold towards him and not want to talk, but I can tell you still wish for his health and hope he doesn't suffer. Actually, your dad talked to me a long time ago, warning me to steer clear of you. He'd even picked out a future wife for you, someone from a good family, someone you'd known since childhood. And there you were, completely clueless about it all, running straight into my arms. You're smart and adorable, and I refused you 3 times, yet you never gave up. You have no idea how hard it was for me each time. I remember when Isabella came to the school looking for you. I saw that you only saw her as a sister, not someone you actually liked. Ironically, she was the one who had people beat me up, warning me to stay away from you or else. Little did she know, her actions just showed me her true colors, arrogant and reckless. If you two had really gotten married, she wouldn't be the kind to respect your feelings. I couldn't trust leaving you with someone like her. But then again, am I much better? After we got married, I treated you so coldly and hurt you even more. From beginning to end, you were the innocent one, yet you endured the most pain. If you still want a divorce, I will respect that. She suddenly laughed, a small, sad sound. At first, because of some not-so-good rumors about you at school, I wanted to stay away. But you, being a bit proud, just kept inching closer. After we hung out a few times, I realized you were nothing like the vicious, domineering person the rumors claimed you were. You were kind-hearted. I quietly watched you studying by the nameless lake, bandaging stray cats' legs, and donating your spare change to disabled beggars. The rumors were just a way for others, knowing they weren't as good as you, to try and push you out with false labels. All along, the only person I ever liked was you. As for Marcus, I only talked to him more initially to try and turn you away. Rumor had it we were childhood sweethearts, but we had only shared the same train to school that one day. Remember? You asked me if I'd prefer you go abroad forever or get married to me and stay in my life. After thinking about it all night, I held your hand and said, "Let's get married." How I wish you would give me the same choice now. I looked up and let go of Clara's hand. I'll keep these papers for now, I said. She took back the divorce agreement. I hope you'll reconsider, Leo. Just remember, I love you and I want to spend my life with you. I left with no destination in mind, wandering the streets until my phone rang. Hey, little bro, are you back yet? It was my cousin. Can you come back quickly? Mia went missing and I can't find her anywhere. Come help me look. I was shocked. How could Mia go missing? I'm coming right back. Thankfully, it was all a false alarm. Before dawn, my cousin and I found Mia sleeping soundly in the park. The divorce with Clara was postponed for now. Another half a year went by. The sky was a perfect, cloudless blue that day. I tidied up the medications on the shelf and returned to the counter, where I saw a new message from Clara. Leo, our research group won a grand prize at the last medical competition, and the hospital is rewarding us with a 10-day, all-expenses-paid trip, plus a +1. Do you want to come? Doctor, I have a stomach ache, a customer said, interrupting my thoughts. Do you have anything for it? I put my phone down. Yeah, I do. On a soft, sandy beach, I adjusted my hat and snapped a few pictures of the ocean. Someone approached me. Can I get your contact info? She asked. I was just thinking of how to politely turn her down when I felt an arm slide around my waist. Sorry, I'm taken, Clara's voice said right next to my ear. Our eyes met, and I was stunned. I turned away, a bit bashful. How did you know it was me? I never said I'd come. Just from your silhouette, she whispered. You're the only one I love. I can spot you even from your back. So, why didn't you find me sooner? I don't know anyone here, and it's so boring. The woman who had asked for my contact info walked away, embarrassed. Clara pulled my hat down over my eyes and gave me a quick kiss, resting her forehead against mine. Sooner? You just hit the beach. I wanted to see you earlier, but you came 2 days late. I was about to fly back. Thinking of flying back already? Yeah, I thought you weren't coming. I was planning to fly to your town and visit your pharmacy. That doesn't make sense. You've got 10 days here, all expenses paid. But without you, no place seems fun, she said, playfully nipping my earlobe. 3 months later, I handed over the drugstore to my cousin, who hired someone to help watch the shop. I successfully applied for and got a job at the pharmacy of the 3rd hospital. Now I get to go to work and go home with Clara every day. One night, as Clara and I were sleeping, her phone lit up. She responded quickly and put it back down. Casually, I asked, "This late? Who's texting you?" She replied, "Someone unimportant." In the middle of the night, I got up to use the bathroom. Turning on the dim light, it happened to shine on her phone screen, which unlocked it. A message thread popped up. It turns out my face was registered for her phone's facial recognition. It was from Marcus. Clara, I'm really scared. Can you come over, keep me company, and talk to me? Her reply was short and final. I don't owe you that. It was the anniversary of Clara's dad's death. This time you're not sneaking back alone to visit his grave, I said. I'm going with you. Okay, we'll drive back, Clara agreed. On the way, she suddenly asked me, "What are you thinking about?" I looked at her, a bit silent. Maybe your dad wouldn't want to see me. He met you before, she said. When? I was curious. Back in college. That night you wanted me to watch the stars with you on the field. He came to see me at school that day, she recalled. Was that the night I went to the bathroom and couldn't find you afterward? I asked. Yep, she confirmed. You went to the bathroom and that's when he came over. He said he was working in the city and just stopped by to see me. He had seen us together before but didn't want to interrupt. He brought me some clothes, and we went back to my dorm to put them away, she explained. Oh, that was the night I bit your arm, I remembered, cringing. I hope your dad didn't see that. It's funny you thought he didn't, Clara said, raising an eyebrow. My face went hot with embarrassment. I made a bad first impression. He probably didn't like me, I worried. After a pause, Clara smiled. Do you know what he did after that? He increased my monthly allowance by $500. So your dad thought I was your boyfriend? I asked. And you didn't deny it, right? From then on, you saw me as your boyfriend, but just wouldn't admit it in school. You're complicated, I teased. Whenever I found something suitable for her, I just wanted to buy it. That's when she handed me a card. This is for you, she said. Why are you giving me a card? I asked, puzzled. That extra $500 from my dad? I've been saving it all on this card for you. If you want to buy something, use this, she explained. I was stunned. taking the thin card, feeling a complex mix of emotions. Her father's gesture showed his acceptance of me. Her dad wasn't a big shot, but he was a respected train engineer. "Does your dad know who hit him?" I asked quietly. "With someone warning him to keep his daughter away from you, you think he didn't know?" she replied. "But didn't he end up hating me for being with you?" I worried. "He wasn't the kind of person who would blame a young guy who knew nothing about it," Clara assured me. She slowed the car and parked by the roadside. She took my hand, the one that had been scarred from a scalpel years ago. More so because this young guy, for his daughter, hurt his hand and gave up his beloved career. Such a good guy. Who would want me to give him up? "Not me," she affirmed. I was astonished. "How do you know all this?" I asked. "When the scalpel fell and cut my finger, everyone thought I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time." "Actually," I confessed, "I reached out to block it, so it wouldn't hit your head." My hand was immediately soaked in blood. I had thought it was just a coincidence until a similar accident happened in the OR, and I realized it wasn't. The scalpel had slipped because Marcus wasn't following proper procedure. Clara was adjusting something nearby while I happened to be close, and I had raised my hand, catching the falling blade with my finger. I went to get my hand treated, but the cut was so deep it affected my ability to hold a scalpel steadily. The operating table demands absolute precision and sanctity. There's no room for mistakes. I had to give up my dream of being a surgeon, but I don't regret it. If someone's dream had to be sacrificed, I would always choose mine. Clara would always surpass me in medicine. She stood out during our hospital internship, and the department head admired her talent. Marcus's mistake earned him a return to school with no hospital backing him. Ashamed, he volunteered for medical aid in Africa. Although he spun the narrative to make it seem like I had pressured him to go abroad to eliminate competition. It seems bad things eventually catch up. I heard he was recently diagnosed with kidney disease. On the way back, checking the date on my phone, something dawned on me. Quietly, I counted the days in my mind. "What's up?" Emily asked, concerned. I grinned, deciding to keep my little secret. "Guess," I teased. Emily paused, a hint of surprise crossing her face. "Could it be?" she pondered. "There's a restaurant up ahead," I said, pointing. "Let's grab a bite.